What's up guys, my name is Mario. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing to this channel. And in today's video, we're gonna compare the S1H and the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. Keep in mind, these two cameras are completely different. They're meant for different type of filmmakers, but I get a lot of questions that people are asking me on which camera they should buy from these two. So we're gonna go ahead and try to break it down in this video. I'm gonna try to provide you guys with some clips and help you guys decide between the S1H and the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera on which camera you should buy. So let's dive in. Alright guys, so we took both these cameras out and we try to compare them side by side. We tried shooting different type of scenarios so you guys can see, real hands-on on what these two cameras look like, comparing them side by side. I contacted my homie Nelson, he went with me. Now keep in mind, we shot both these cameras in their native ISO, and we also use the same lens, which is a Sigma 18-35. I shot with the S1H in 4K 60 frames per second in case I wanted to slow it down, and he shot his I think at 6K 50 frames per second, and he shot all his footage in B-RAW. Now I think his compression was 8:1, and then I just went with V-Log 10 bits. So there you guys have it. So let's get started with this whole camera comparison. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the price within these two cameras. Now the S1H costs $4,000 and the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K, from this point that I'm talking, it's only $2,000. So right away, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K wins in that area. Now I also want to add on, when it comes to the price, yes, the Blackmagic is $2,000, the S1H is $4,000, but I spoke to 4 Blackmagic 6K owners, and when it comes to the whole rig and all that, they ended up spending from $32,000 up to $4,000 on the rig. So it basically equates to an S1H. Now the next thing we're gonna talk about is the versatility. And to be honest, this is like not even a question. A lot of you guys will know is the S1H murders it. If you're talking about versatility, you're talking about something you can put on a gimbal, put handheld, and just move all over the place. Like if you're shooting weddings, events, anything like that, the S1H is gonna shoot everything at such limited time that you're able to get everything in and out basically. The Blackmagic, you gotta rig it up and then you gotta break it down, you gotta put in a gimbal. It's a disaster. So the S1H, when it comes to versatility, hands down. And I spoke to other Blackmagic owners, they also stated that the S1H wins, which I completely agree on that end. Now in talks of the photo side, the S1H clearly wins on that end. The Blackmagic 6K shoots photos, but they're nowhere near what you're gonna get out of an S1H, so right away I give it to the S1H. Now this next thing I'm gonna talk about, a lot of you filmmakers should consider if you guys are debating on which camera to go with, because this is gonna play a big factor, is the memory. So for me, I like to save all my footage. That's just me, not everyone does that. So we took both these cameras out on a shoot, and he gave me all the files, and I think it almost hit 400 gigs or 300 gigs. I forgot what was the number. I'll go ahead and like write it down somewhere here. I'll definitely check. And the S1H was only 40 gigs. They both basically shot the same thing, but 300 gigs opposed to 40 gigs. Just right there, do the math. You're gonna have to buy a shitload of hard drives if you wanna store all these Blackmagic files. Compare the S1H, a 4 terabyte one will last you a pretty good time. Just know that you're gonna spend a lot of money. So yeah, the S1H may be 4,000, but the Blackmagic is 2,000. But if you think about the memory and you're planning on saving the memories, the storage, then just know the S1H is gonna be the better side to go with, because it's gonna save you money down the line. As for the build quality, the S1H wins hands down. We already know the S1H is weather sealed, it's all that. The Blackmagic, it's plastic, so the S1H wins in that end. Now the next thing we're gonna talk about with these two cameras is the S1H shoots in log and the Blackmagic shoots in RAW. Clearly, we already know RAW wins. Now the S1H is gonna get ProRes 12-bit in a future update. So I mean, from there, I'll leave you guys on that, but I still prefer internal. Now for color science, the Blackmagic 6K destroys, and I'm talking about just murders the S1H when it comes to color science. I wore a red shirt on purpose to this shoot, just so you guys can see, because not every camera tends to handle red really good. I know the Canon EOS R, just Canon in general, gets reds really good, but Panasonic always makes it look more orange than red. It never captures red good, no matter how much you want to tweak it. So Blackmagic destroys when it comes to color science, hands down. Now as for the low light, we put both these cameras side by side at 8,000 ISO. We stayed till the sun got pretty dark just so we can do that test run. Now I know a lot of us are not gonna be in that scenario. I mean, for the most part, any Blackmagic owner is gonna use lighting. Same thing at S1H, we're gonna use lighting, but let's just say this is where versatility comes in. If you're shooting a wedding or an event and you really can't use lighting, I've been in situations where you're shooting big events and you really can't use lighting. It's just whatever the place gives you, right? The S1H is gonna dominate. You can shoot at 8,000, you can shoot at 10,000, you can go higher than that and have the file still be usable. The Blackmagic, the most you can push it to is 3200 ISO. After that, I mean, good luck bringing it back. You might be able to save yourself a little bit by pushing it a little stronger, but 8,000 is just done. So that's where the S1H wins when it comes to low light. The next step is the 6K is a Super 35. The S1H is full frame. So we already know S1H wins in that end. That is why it's also better in low light, full frame. Now the next thing, a lot of people are gonna be debating on me like, oh, I can just get a monitor and all that. It's true, but there's nothing like having it in camera, and that is a flip out screen. The S1H has it. The Blackmagic is flat. Yeah, you can add a tilt to, you know, the flip and all that. But again, you gotta take it. I mean, it's a whole nother thing. You know, I'd rather, again, it's like internal B-roll. I'd rather have it internal than having to deal with these extra things. So the S1H wins because it has a flip out screen. I like it if you're shooting with a gimbal and you wanna like get some really low shots, you can flip it up and you're good to go. I mean, that's just me, you know, but again, everyone has different opinions when it comes to that. Now, the next thing we're gonna talk about is the resolution, and I have to give it, all right, this one is actually, I can't give it to either one. I will leave that up to you guys. I'm going with the S1H, but at the same time, I gotta dive in with the Blackmagic. So actually, I'm undecided, but the Blackmagic, you can shoot 120 frames per second at 2.8K. You can shoot 6K at up to 50 frames per second, or you can shoot it at 60 frames per second at 6K, but it crops in. Compared to the S1H, you have full frame at 6K 24, but then when you want to slow it down, it goes down to 4K 60, and then when you go to 120 frames per second, it goes to 1080. But in 120 frames per second at 1080, it doesn't crop in at all. It's full frame. The Blackmagic crops in a shit ton. So again, you know, crop, full frame, I mean, that's where, you know, cropping in could help out in some situations. You might want a more detailed close shot, but then you might need a full frame and you need the space. That's where the S1H dominates. So that's completely, I will leave that up to you guys. I would prefer full frame because sometimes I'm in tight spots, but again, I also prefer the Blackmagic because more resolution, more to crop in, or upscaling it without losing out on too much quality. So it's 50-50 on that for me. That's what I'm saying. These two cameras are completely different, but I'm letting you guys know the in and outs of both cameras so you guys can decide and just give you guys the best. So let's move forward anyway. The next thing is the form factor. The S1H, it feels good to the hands. I don't want to hear anyone say it's bulky. It's not. Like the Blackmagic's like this. The S1H just feels good in the hands. The Blackmagic 6K does not win in this area. The form factor, the S1H takes it. Now, when it comes to this menu system, which one's easier to use when you guys have not used either system? I used many Panasonic cameras, so I was really familiar when I was using the S1H. But when I grabbed my hands on the Blackmagic, right away I knew how to change, how to form, how to do the whole thing. It's really user friendly, so the Blackmagic wins when it comes to menu system and the ease of use. Now, this next thing we're gonna talk about is another key thing for a lot of you people that are debating. This is gonna help you guys as well, the battery life. Now, do you want an S1H battery that's gonna last you about 2.5-3 hours, or you want a Blackmagic that's gonna last you like 20 minutes? Now, the Blackmagic, you could use a V-mount, but now you're carrying this around this big ass bulky battery, and the S1H is a really small battery. So when it comes to batteries overall, I give it to the S1H. Now, the next thing we're gonna talk about is electronic viewfinder. The Blackmagic does not have it at all, and the S1H does. I do gotta mention that in this video, and I gotta give that to the S1H. Now, the next thing we're also gonna talk about is the IBIS. Now, the Blackmagic 6K has no IBIS. That's why people rig the shit out of that camera. The S1H has internal IBIS. They're trying to get their best to get not super shaky footage. The S1H just wins. I mean, that's one key fact that you want to look into. Do you want something that's running gun? You can shoot events, weddings, music videos. I mean, the whole thing. The S1H has it. You don't need to rig up this whole thing. Another thing that I want to mention when it comes to the versatility of this camera is my friend Nelson. So he actually set up the camera pretty quick. He took it off the whole cage and put it on a gimbal. I timed it. It was 8 minutes long. So that's where I give it to the S1H. You know, you could, for 8 minutes when you're on set, that's like 2 full performances that you can get out the way, or a shitload of B-roll. So the versatility of the S1H just dominates the Blackmagic, and this is why the completely different camera is. The S1H is an all-around because of its IBIS, the internal IBIS. You're able to just grab the camera and go out and shoot. The Blackmagic, you gotta rig it up. I don't wanna hear anyone talk about, oh, you can just grab it in. No, I tested it and it jitters like crazy. You do need to rig it up. And once you rig it up, you get a nice cinema handheld type of look, but you have to rig it up. The S1H right off the bat is just beautiful and it helps a lot. You could just hold the camera, it's very discreet. So the IBIS the S1H has and the Blackmagic does not, so I have to give it to the S1H. Alright, so overall at the end of this video, I have to tell you guys that these two cameras, like I said in the beginning, they're two completely different cameras. Now I know the Blackmagic 6K, they say, well, this is more for production, it's more for like structured sets. And that may be true, but when it comes to gimbal and going handheld, it's a pain in the ass and you're gonna lose time. Even though it's structured and everything, you're still gonna lose time. And that time that you lost, the S1H, you're able to do both handheld and gimbal. And when they state that the Blackmagic 6K is overall production wise it's better, it's not, because the scene is gonna be lit up and they're both even at the end of the day. Lighting does the video, not the cameras, not the resolution, none of that. So that's when they become even. The S1H, if you guys are shooting running guns and photos and a little bit of everything, and you know you want good battery life and all that, the S1H is gonna do that. The S1H is definitely an all-around camera. That's why it's so expensive. It's $4,000 because it has internal IBIS. It has great photos that you can go out and shoot. It has great video specs. Now it doesn't have the same color signs. It doesn't have all that, but again, it all comes down to what do you want to shoot. You know, if you only shoot production, then the Blackmagic is clearly like, you know, you save a lot of money. You can just go and shoot some really clean images. But overall, it comes down to what you guys are shooting. I shoot everything. I don't shoot weddings as much, but I do shoot from time to time. The S1H will handle that. If I shoot events, the S1H will handle that. If I shoot music videos in structured sets and environments, the S1H is gonna handle that. The Blackmagic is gonna handle everything as well, but as I mentioned, the versatility of it is not really practical, and the battery life and the storage and all these type of things you kind of gotta factor. But if that doesn't hold you back, then the Blackmagic will be a good camera for you guys. So this is more of like, again, it all depends on you guys. What are you guys shooting? I shoot everything, music videos, weddings, so I'm going with the S1H. You guys could be shooting something else and you guys might go for the Blackmagic. But again, we're all different. So I mean, I know a lot of you guys might hate this video, might like it. I'm not going with either one. The Blackmagic is outstanding camera. I will get it if I was just shooting structure, but I shoot a little bit of everything. Sometimes I want a camera to just go out and about, you know, I want some clean photos and I also want some good videos. I'm gonna have that. The Blackmagic is too much things I have to bring on. I want to be discreet when I go out on open places. But anyways, hopefully this video helped you guys decide on what camera if you guys were looking. If you guys are new here, by the way, consider hitting that subscribe button. And if there's anything I left out, just leave it in the comments below. Like this video, it always helps the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.